When did you decide that you wanted to be a drummer?
Well, good morning, Grace. I decided to be a drummer after seeing my uncle in the United States play. He was a jazz drummer. He still is a jazz drummer in Chicago, Illinois. And I played clarinet before that. And so once I saw how amazing the drums were, I changed over to the drums. And shortly after that, I got to meet your teacher, Mr. Jelvig, and he was an amazing guitarist and quite an inspiration to me. So he was the person that inspired me from an early point. Do you play drums, Grace?
No, but my dad used to.
Aaron's dad is also a drummer as well, and he has his own music company that he runs.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, tell your dad I'd love to meet him as well. Good job. And did he pass on the musical genes to you? Do you play some drums?
Yeah, sometimes.
All right, on. Very good. We'll get a little jam session going.
What do you like about touring?
My favorite thing about touring is being on stage, and I love getting to visit new places. When I'm on tour, I usually spend a few days on either side of the tour to get to visit cities or places that I haven't been. So this trip, I came to London a couple of days early, and yesterday I was at Buckingham Palace and Big Ben and Parliament, and I took a lot of walks through Hyde Park and Green Park, and then last week I was in the Dominican Republic, if you know that country, an island just in the Caribbean, and I went ziplining in the jungles, and I got to play with monkeys. So I get to do all sorts of fun things just besides being on stage. I love visiting people, and I love getting to rock on the drums.
Which drummers inspired you when you first started?
There are a couple of them. I mentioned my uncle, who was the jazz drummer in Chicago, and he was a very influential drummer because he had a lot of skill, but you could tell when he played drums that his personality, just the way that he was, actually came through when he played drums. You can see that he had some character. But there was a famous drummer who's from here in England, named John Bonham. He was the drummer for a band called Led Zeppelin, if you know that band. And John Bonham was a very inspiring drummer. He had a lot of natural talent, and he was a farmer, and so he grew up in kind of a very challenging lifestyle as a young boy, and one way for him to get away from the farm was to play drums and travel the world. So John Bonham and my uncle Jim Florolo were my two biggest inspirations.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in a town in Montana that Mr. Jelvig also grew up in. I was in a town called Great Falls, Montana for part of my life. That's it. How old are you, James?
8.
You're 8 years old?
Yes.
Yes. So when I was 8 years old, I was in a town called Great Falls, Montana. And then I moved into the woods. Do you call them woods here in England?
Yeah.
Okay, so I moved into a cabin in the woods in Bozeman, Montana, when I was just a little bit older, and I grew up playing drums out with bears and trees and mountains, and so I consider my favorite time to be the time that I lived out in the mountains in Montana. Very close to Mr. Jelvig. You know the accent that he has?
How old were you?
When I was playing drums there?
No, how old are you now?
I'm 162 years old. That's I'm 47 years old.
Okay.
one.
How many drum kits do you have?
Not enough. No, I have 2 drum sets of mine, and my 18-year-old son has a huge drum set. He loves the band Rush, and a band from Canada, and their drummer had many drums, so most of my garage is full of my son's drums. But I have 2 drum sets, and I nicknamed them both. So one drum set is made from my favorite company, and I got to completely design it by myself. And it's a drum company named Spawn, and it has what they call white glass. It's silver sparkly glass with red stripes, and I nicknamed that Libby after a famous piano player, Liberace, because it's very flashy. And I have another drum set that is exciting because it has red, all the metal on it is red, and it has a black finish that looks like spider's eyes. And it was the drum set from my friend Glenn Sobel, who plays drums for Alice Cooper. Do you know Alice Cooper? Have you ever heard of him?
No.
Ask your parents. They'll tell you about Alice Cooper. So I got the drum set from my friend who played with Alice Cooper, and because it looks like a spider, I nicknamed it Charlotte, after Charlotte's Web, the old story about a black widow.
Yeah. What is it like to work with Mike Scorn?
Oh, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I mentioned that I get to travel all over the world and play with music with him. So, wow, did he just throw a paper airplane across the room?
I think he's trying to attack me with his question.
Okay, so Mike Score he's back been a famous singer and keyboardist for about 35 or 40 years. And he lives part of the time in Liverpool, here in England, and the rest of the time in the United States. And when he's not living in England, we get to travel all over the world and see great fun places like you guys and this beautiful restaurant in Bognor Regis. Hi, Megan.
Hello.
Good morning.
Who are your favourite people to do tours with?
You know, a beautiful thing about getting to play music from the 80s, the 1980s, is that a lot of the bands that I liked when I was growing up have become really good friends of mine. So I was a big fan of those bands before, and now they've become friends. So when we tour together, it's like a big family reunion. So I have friends from a band called Berlin that are really good friends, and I have a lot of friends that are drummers from all these other bands. We get together when we tour. We have breakfast together, and we share stories about our families. And so my friend Josh is the drummer from Wang Chung, a band from England that was really fun in the 80s. And yeah, I love getting to play with all of these bands that I sang music to when I was 8 years old. And as an early teenager, Jim and I, Mr. Jelvik and I became big fans of these bands. So, Night
Big
Ranger,
style.
Mr. Jelvik just
Yep.
played with Night Ranger last week, and they became really good friends of mine in the Dominican Republic. So.
Kevin Rankin here. Let's talk about some drums. I've been playing professionally for over 30 years, and the most important things to me are the relationships that I develop with fans, the bandmates that I have on stage, and the companies that I play for. Nothing makes me more proud than to walk on stage using gear that I believe in. When I'm playing drums, nothing else matters. Nothing else should matter. When I'm performing, I don't want to worry about the gear that I use. I just want to know that it's there for me. I've been fortunate to work with some of the strongest companies out there. Some of my favorite gear. The companies I work with and the fans that I meet, they're like family to me. I'll see you on the road.